Well, I said I'd tell the stories of this. This was really spooky, and it could apply to two places, Manapouri and Mahingarangi. I'll tell both the stories. The first one was at Manapouri, and a tiger diving and salvage went over, and I went with them, and our job was to go 800 feet underground through this big windy tunnel, through this big steel sort of door. It must have been 40 feet 40 feet high, into what was sort of a relief chamber. This was where all the water that came from the lake 800 feet above came down and drove the turbines. And then there was a tunnel that went all the way to Deep Cove. It was miles long. I can't, off the top of my head, remember how long it was. Anyway, we had to go down under these the sluices underneath the turbines. Once the water had turned the turbine, this was on its way out, and it went down to Deep Cove. And the relief chamber would have been way over 100 feet high and quite big, and we drove in there, set everything up, went down with the band mask on and that. And if I look spooked in this, that's because I bloody well was. Anyway, underneath them, to keep the other generators cool. I'm not quite sure how they did this, because there was no water coming out anywhere as far as I can remember. But there was this noise of these other generators going, and it was super creepy. And, we go up underneath. We were showing pictures of what these cavitation plates looked like. They weren't there. And, oh, man, it was eerie. It was just all pitch black, pitch black, pitch black. You had this camera on a wire, and you were meant to show, no, there's no cavitation plate there, which there wasn't. Anyway, I was hugely relieved to get out of there. I think that spooked all of us. We all tried to put on a brave face. Yeah, that was no problem. I'll do it again for breakfast. But it was. The second one was at Lake Mahingarangi, which is a peat lake, and they'd put in a new sluice up there. But peat lakes, you get 5 feet down and they're pitch black anyway. So it would have looked exactly like this. And we were going down on, we had lines to the surface. Now, we had this box that there were several compressed air tanks attached to. And what was happening was that one of the valves was leaking a wee bit. So the reserve tank had been turned off. So when you switched over to the reserve tank, you would have to turn it on. So I'm down there. I've got all this welding stuff because they've been using explosives, and the steel gate had been bent and it was jammed in the slot. And we had to, by feel, go down and cut the guides off so that the gate could be pulled up, new guides put on, and away they went. So I'm down there. Unbeknown to me, the guy up top who was in charge of it, I won't say his name because he's still alive, he was talking to the engineer. And I had a bottle on my back, a very small one, that was emergency air, and probably about 200 weight of welding cable behind me and that sort of thing. Wasn't that deep, might have been 30, 35 feet, something like that. But you had to squeeze in the side of this gate, not able to see anything. We had a million candle power lights down there, and you could see your hand in front of your face if you held it about 3 inches away. So it was all done by feel. Anyhow, I said to him, I need air, so-and-so. I took another breath and there was no air coming, and I started to freak, and I said, I need air now. So there was no air coming, so I'm a well-trained diver. I turned the emergency gas bottle on. No air. Now, what had happened up the top was that he had flicked to switch over to the other bottle, but which said 2,500 or something PSI, but hadn't noticed that my first half breath took all of that because the valve was actually turned off, and that was residual air in it. So I got no air. I wound up swimming to the surface, carrying all this welding bloody cable, and boy, was I ready to chew someone out. Well, fortunately for me, A, he didn't want me up there, and B, he said, the best thing you can do is go back down right now, or you might likely never go down again. So I did, but later on that day, I gave him a chewing out, because that's the sort of thing in diving. You absolutely have to be able to trust those that you're working with. Okay, that's it for me. You have the best day that you possibly can. Catch you later, Mac.